Alright, so I'm going to do a tour of my backyard in Southern Ontario, June 2019. So I've been meaning to make this video for a while, like a video kind of like this. Last year I wanted to make one, and the year before that, but I just never got around to it. And finally now making it. This backyard was much more different like 2-3 years ago. We moved in and did major renovations because we really needed it. The land was actually sloping into the neighbor's yard, and so we had to build a retaining wall. And so on the other side of this fence is actually a retaining wall, and then we built a fence for privacy, and yeah, it just makes the backyard look much better. It shows your space kind of. And so the other sides of the yard don't actually have the fence. It's kind of open. So yeah, and there's also a dead tree in the middle, so we cut that down. So this is the view from the deck, and it's kind of a shady backyard. Right now it's a little bit sunny because the trees haven't fully leafed in, but it becomes very shady. And it's nice because when it's really hot here in summer, we need like a place to come where it's shady, right? So this is our like kind of hideaway when it's really hot outside. Today's actually a really hot day, but I watered the garden, so that's why everything's wet. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go through the plants kind of and show you. So at this end, this is where the garden kind of starts. This is this area actually gets a little bit of sun in the morning because the sun comes up from down there. So the honeysuckle vine does get enough sunlight in the morning. So I just planted this. It's starting to climb up, and it's red and orange. It's a honeysuckle vine. So that's good. Then this ground cover is actually dead nettle. It's right there. I'm just trying to spread it around. It has these purple flowers. Let me show you up close. They're kind of like spotted inside, and the bees really like this. So yeah, it does spread a lot, and it's good for like trouble spots, but I kind of just want it kind of as like a natural mulch to go in between all the plants, the hosta and the hellebore and the honeysuckle. So hopefully that fills in. And then I have some annuals here and there. So the annuals I have are impatiens. I just planted them. They do get pretty big by fall, and then they die with the frost. So a flower just fell off. So yeah, I got this nice red, and the theme here is kind of red. And then on the other side of the yard, I'm trying to make it kind of pink. Oh, it's definitely not focusing. There you go. So next plant is a primrose, and this blooms early spring. It's already done blooming. Then I have this hosta. This hosta puts out white blooms in August, and it smells like jasmine. So really like this hosta. Kind of got bitten by slugs, but yeah. Then I have an azalea shrub I'm trying to grow. It just finished blooming, but it always gets powdery mildew. So another impatient. Then I have this hellebore, which finished blooming a while ago, but it already has it has its old blooms still. They don't die. You can just leave them there for like decoration. And the leaves are evergreen on this, so that's why I kind of like this plant here. Then I have a begonia. I have to bring the bulb in winter as well. And the funny thing is, on the side blooms have they're single blooms, but the middle bloom is a double bloom. I think that's how it works. I always see them like that. And I got one with dark leaves as well. And I have another hosta here. There's a fuchsia plant there. I'm gonna have to take cuttings to bring that in fall. But I really like this type of fuchsia. It's like white with red. So then I have two ferns. I got this from New York in like a bulb bag thing, and I wasn't supposed to bring it over the border, but I did. And then pink phlox there. The phlox is for sun, but it actually blooms here in shade, so it's okay. And then I have light pink bee balm. Now this I divided already last year, and I bought it last year, but it already grew so big because it's a spreader. But I really like it where it is. It's light pink, and it attracts so many bees. Like there's like 5 or 6 on it at a time. And there's some random tulips on the back of it. Next to it is a columbine. This is like a light pink variety, and it's at the back here. I think it's self-seeded. I don't actually remember buying that, but that's what columbines do. Then I have this red astilbe. It's just coming into bloom now. It looks fantastic once it's in bloom, but I think I should move it to the front a little bit more because it's kind of shorter, and I might plant something taller there. And I have this perennial geranium. This one's like a pink type. The leaves are evergreen as well, but I also want to move this because it doesn't bloom. Once it's done blooming, it's just green, so, and it doesn't bloom very long actually, so yeah. And then I have coleus as an annual around here. There's 4 of them, and they usually get pretty big by fall before they die. And another impatient. This is called lungwort or pulmonaria. It's a leaf plant, but it also blooms in spring. It has blue-ish blooms, and they kind of fade to pink, and then they're already done blooming, and the bees really like this plant as well. So I just divided it. That's why it's kind of looking not as nice. Then I have white phlox in the back there, and I have a statue. Behind I have this sage. It's for sun, but it wasn't doing well in the sun, so I tried bringing it here just to see what it would do, because it's not really doing well. It hasn't grown like a bit since I bought it, or bloomed. So then I have this clematis that I have to plant. I'm just not sure if I should plant it here, because I do like sun, and the sun's more towards that side. So, still in its pot. I really like those blooms, so. And I have this bleeding heart. This is honestly the biggest bleeding heart I've ever seen. There's a lot in my area, and this is the biggest one I've ever seen. It's literally like 4 feet tall and 5 feet wide. It's taking up the entire back as well. So, I don't know why it just decided to grow so big, but I really like it here. I'm never gonna move it because I already moved it a few times, and here it just suddenly grew really big. So it was here when we moved in, actually, so, and it was not this big. And then in the back there I have a clematis. It's kind of purplish, and I want to plant that there as well. So now I have coral bells. I got some from the neighbor. It's about to bloom. They have like white blooms on them, and the leaves are evergreen as well. I have this white columbine here. This is like a smaller type, but I really like this one as well because it looks nice next to the dark red coral bells. Now I have the Siberian iris that blooms kind of purple, small purple and a little bit yellow blooms. The bleeding heart was not this big last year, so it took over the Siberian iris. Now I need to move that. I have some foxglove that I need to plant. Hopefully it seeds itself all over. And then I have an iris I need to move to the sun. I didn't have space, so I planted it here. There's the bird bath, and I have like an old telephone box I'm trying to hide. So those are the wild orange daylilies that were actually here, taking over this entire garden when we moved in. I left a few in the back to grow. And I have this phlox I also need to move to the front. I didn't have enough space, so I planted them here. Pink daylily, Japanese hakan grass, and then underneath this tree I have a hosta and some sweet woodruff that's kind of growing. I want it to grow in between all the plants as a ground cover. So this Japanese maple I bought when we just moved in 2-3 years ago, and it's actually growing quite big, quite large. So it's awesome. It looks nice in this corner of the yard. It's actually close to the height of the bleeding heart, which is kind of funny. This tree is probably 5.5 feet, and then the bleeding heart is not too far away. So underneath I have these pink tulips, and they were here when we moved in, but they kind of need sun, so they're flopped everywhere. And then I have hydrangea. It's not really blooming well, so I'm gonna figure out what I have to do for that one. And iris, some iris here. This is kind of extra iris, but I planted it here because it still blooms anyway, even though it's shade. So I think this is purple and white. And behind it are some daffodils. And then I have a little bird statue there. So this is lamb ears, and this is for sun as well, but I like it next to the coral bells. It adds a good, and the columbine as well, it adds a good like color difference. So it's lamb ears. Columbine, I think this is a blue kind. It's gonna open soon. I think it's like light blue with white, so that's pretty big. I have a liatris in the back there. That's a pink one. And then I have red bee balm here. Just planted this. It's the taller variety of bee balm. And then I have coral bells here. This one has actual coral blooms and it's about to bloom. And then I have a hosta. I have some chives here. I might move to the vegetable garden because I didn't know that they would come back. It was a very small division, so. And then a welcome sign with some dogs on it that's covered by this plant. So this is Geum, and it bloomed really nice. I really like it in this spot, and I actually might get more. They have other colors, so it's Geum. And then some carnations. And then I have this iris. This one's kind of like, I don't know how to describe the color. It's like a brownish, purplish, yellow, pink, I don't know. So hopefully when it blooms I can get a photo. Then I have this anemone here. This one spreads really fast, so I'm gonna have to move it. From here it's gonna take over. As it is, these plants are jumbled up. So, and I have this tulip here. Nice colors. More annuals and a hosta. I have a yellow daylily. Some dark pink, kind of almost burgundy clematis. And more like butter color tulips here. They're gonna stop blooming soon. But yeah. I have some purple bee balm I planted. This is called Burgeonia. It has evergreen leaves and it has like these pink blooms in spring, but the blooms are done. And then I have a still bee here. This is a light pink kind and it actually spread a lot, so I divided it and moved the divisions around. That's an impatient. And then this, sorry, not columbine, what am I trying to say? Clematis is a division from that clematis. Then I have a pot of purple shamrock here. That was actually my house plant, but I moved it out here because it was like dying. And then I have a purple columbine. I'm gonna plant this soon. Just have to find the perfect spot for it. And more annuals, Coleus, Impatiens. I have to plant those. Daffodils here. I have a small pink clematis in the back and it's growing really slow, so I'm just leaving it in the back until it's bigger. And then this is spiderwort. It's a purple spiderwort. It's gonna bloom hopefully soon. There's a peony here. This is a division, a small division I can give away because I was dividing it and I accidentally broke that heart off. But yeah. And then I have lots of bleeding hearts. Now these bleeding hearts, they were seedlings from that big one because the big one used to be planted here. And the seedlings were so small last year, and then this year they grew huge and they're blooming. And I don't know how I got white. So white bleeding hearts just appeared. I don't know how, but that's amazing. And then more iris. It's that color I can't explain. And then some petunia annuals here. Then I have yellow daylily and some lily of the valley back there, and that's my epidendrum orchid. I brought it out because it was like not doing well, but yeah. Then a lungwort division. I have to give that away as well. So that's the garden in the back. Finally I could show it. I wish I could show it when it wasn't as nice, just to show the evolution, but that's what it looks like now. The lawn, actually, there was wood here over winter and it patched up the lawn. I need to fix it now. I added grass seeds, but that's how it happens. So hopefully we can continue the fence here because I need privacy. Like honestly, those people there can like look right into our yard. And yeah, so this brick edging was actually, the bricks were from those neighbors. They gave us the bricks they weren't using. And so I made this nice curvy design. And the original bricks that were bordering the garden, I made a patio here and a patio there because they were taking up too much garden space, and the plants in the garden consisted of wild daylilies and weeds, so now it's changed a lot more. So that's the backyard tour of the garden. And then there's the vegetable garden, which I'm not going to go through, it's too much. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for the front yard tour.